each city by having mentors, and IITians have played a major role in shaping some of these selection processes, to finally 75 items that are put up on the website of Economic Times, as well as on the website of IIM Ahmedabad. And you will see the amazing kind of results that our young people have produced. This is the fourth time, I think, that third time, that the power of ideas has now been created, and the funding for the POI ideas have also now taken serious shape. So we as PAN IIT, I feel, must support and develop these ideas of innovators in concrete terms, in extremely meaningful ways. Let me give you an example. Biosense.in. Every minute a woman dies avoidably as a result of pregnancy or childbirth. The loss of 500,000 women a year is extremely tragic, as it is preventable with the right technology tools. Nearly 40% of maternal deaths are directly or indirectly attributed to anemia. A major root cause why anemia goes untreated is the lack of healthcare infrastructure and diagnostic facilities at doctors in remote rural areas in the developing world as a whole. In 2009, IIM Ahmedabad ran at CIIE a democratized healthcare challenge, and I think this is a fantastic way to challenge the young minds to think of solutions. The challenge was, and what they achieved was, test results without using the 4 lakh rupee machine that is normally used to test anemia, hemoglobin. As against that, they produced a machine which you can see on the left. It's a cheap machine where the woman wears the tip on, and it is non-intrusive, so there is no pricking of the blood, which is, of course, always, you have to be more careful when you prick something because you require experts, and you also have to be careful of infection. And the third is that the entire cost is less than a tenth of what the traditional cost has been, and the results when we run parallel have proved to be within plus minus 2%, which is enough to tell you whether you have anemia or you don't. This TouchB instrument also measures, other than the hemoglobin, heart rate, oxygen saturation in 20 seconds flat. And it uses the principle of photoplethysmography, which is light absorption. The future is now this platform technology, which is now linked to mobile applications, to send this data and the records over to the urban areas for analysis, can be used to develop several other tests that are likely to emerge in the very near future. They've won a lot of awards, and clearly this is a product that is now at the stage where I think in 6 months' time is going to hit the market, and the price and the cost and the time for testing is substantially reduced with no difference in terms of the results. Forus Healthcare is another area where eye doctors are not required to tell you whether you have any of the 5 problems: cataract, glaucoma, diabetic retina, refraction or cornea problems. Again, this is one of the major areas where India's avoidable cases of blindness will be handled very easily. This product is in the market now. There is an online portal called hellomydoctor.org, which allows facilitate doctors to be compensated for any diagnosis that they do on the telephone automatically. There are several technologies available for drinking rural water and making it free of arsenic and fluorides. And Amity University has also a patent on nano cleaning of water, which has also won a lot of international awards. There is a global e-hospital system called MediAngels, where super specialties from anywhere in the world and in India are available. There is no queuing, there is no shuttling between clinics, and you get the best of healthcare by going through these portals. Now, this is the last case study that I want to share with you. This is transforming rural healthcare. This is a venture for-profit social enterprise. 2009, Health Point Services India, HSI, provides families in rural areas with clean drinking water to 500,000 villagers in Punjab. And it's a very interesting model. They give free water. They give you drinkable water, very clean water, at 10 paisa per liter. This ensures 2 things: footfalls, as well as the revenue model that they have. They also supply low-cost medicines, which are roughly about 50% of the market cost. They also have comprehensive diagnostic tools with over 70 tests that are being done. The range of these costs is between 10 rupees and 40 rupees per test, and advanced telemedicine services that can bring in a good urban doctor and a modern evidence-based healthcare system to the village communities. The founder is Amit Jain. Today he has achieved 31,000 telemedicine consultations, 17,000 diagnostic investigations, prescriptions 36,500, and safe drinking water to 500,000 villagers on a daily basis. People have always regarded healthcare as something that needs to be subsidized for the poor or otherwise necessarily to be given free. In this 2.5 years of journey, this person has proved that it is not so. The reality on the ground is quite different. The sensitivity of poor people to good healthcare requirements is something that they require affordable healthcare, not necessarily free and useless. And therefore, to conclude, there is a huge potential. There is a huge existing proven sustainable models. This is one of them that I've discussed with you. We need to scale up these initiatives and support in many ways. It's an opportunity for all of us to give back to society. Come and join hands with our own platform, Wheels. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunil. Now that you've heard about the Wheels from a 30,000-foot level, a case study from Dr. Patel about Sevak, and how engineering and healthcare can come together and where IITians can participate, and the venture philanthropy concept. Our next speaker comes to us from the Public Health Foundation of India, an organization that was founded by some IITians, including our own Arjun Malhotra, Kiran Malhotra, and Rajat Gupta and others. Dr. Dilip Maulankar is the director of the Public Health Foundation of India based in Gandhinagar. He is a faculty member at the Public Systems Group for the Indian Institute of Management. He is a doctor and has a doctorate in public health. And he's also on the steering group of the National Rural Health Mission. Please help me in welcoming Dilip Maulankar.
Thank you very much. I must acknowledge Pan IIT organizers, Hiten and Shinoy. Especially, I am very delighted to be here because as a younger brother of two IITians who passed out of IIT Kanpur in the 70s, I always held IIT in quite awe and admiration. So thank you for inviting me here. What I thought I will do is to give you a little bit of a flavor of what we need in India and how to scale up initiatives like Wheels and what Dr. Thakur presented to a larger scale, which means almost 1,000 times than what Dr. Thakur has done. Let me begin with how Public Health Foundation started. It was set up in 2005 as a public-private partnership with philanthropists from India, abroad, and Government of India. The mandate is to set up 5 institutes of public health over the years as IITs and IIMs were set up in the 60s. Currently, we have already 4 institutes running in Delhi, Gandhinagar, Hyderabad, Bhubaneswar, and Shillong. The other main idea is to do research and advocacy as well as public health action. There are currently about 350 professionals already working with various multi-sectoral backgrounds, including health. Unfortunately, I must confess we don't have any engineers so far. We are looking for public health engineers and engineers who can work with us. We have 1 engineer. I must correct myself of last few who is working on biomedical engineering. What I thought is in next 2 slides, I want to present a barometer of India's health. The infant mortality, infants who are under 1 year dying in the first year, we have about 44 per 1,000, which is 4.4%. The Nokia country, Finland, we have some people recently, they said they have about 2 per 1,000. So we are quite behind, even though we may have the latest Nokias, but our children are quite behind. If you look at maternal mortality ratio, we have 200 per 100,000 women delivering, which is about 2 in Sweden, and I call it Taj Mahal syndrome. Why we are so much behind Sweden? Because about 300 years ago, both the Queen of India and the Queen of Sweden had very difficult deliveries. Queen of Sweden survived, Queen of India died. The Indian king made Taj Mahal in the memory of Queen of India, and that is what we are very good at. We are good at building Taj Mahal. What did Sweden do when the Queen had very difficult delivery? They started schools of midwifery. They took rural women 300 years ago, train them how to care for Swedish women in labor and delivery, and that is where they have a maternal mortality of 2. If you look at our funding of healthcare, we spend about 1.2% of our GDP public spending, whereas the total spending out of pocket is about 4 to 5%. We have a very undermanaged health sector, overused in some areas and underused in others. If you look at the health needs, and Sunil mentioned about it, we are in epidemiological transition. What it simply means is we are struggling with old diseases like diarrhea, malaria, TB, and we are struck by new epidemics of hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, and neurological disease as some populations age. If you look at mothers, we lose about 50,000 mothers every year. They're trying to produce the next generation of Indians, and about 1 million more children die in their first few years of life. Why is this? We have very poor social and infrastructural determinants of health. Poor water supply, no toilets, lack of hygiene, malnutrition. About a third of India's children suffer in malnutrition, whereas already about 10% of India is overnourished and very fat in the central part of the belly. Gender disparities is another problem. We have left behind women to do homework and not much more. The health challenges, if you look at, is shortage and maldistribution of health workforce. Urban areas are some places brimming with doctors and other staff. Rural areas have short supply. South is full and north is empty in some sense. Of course, money is a problem. 70% live below $2 a day. We don't have much health insurance and health protection, and our health services are weak and of unassured quality. If you look at health planning in India, I'm part of some of the planning commission working groups and steering group on health. I'm struck by the fact that Indian Planning Commission has only 2 or 3 professionals working on health. If you look at the health departments, at the central level, we have only 2 or 3 people working on maternal health or each of the major health programs. And at state level, sometimes there is only half of one person working on a major health program. So I call it microscopic top management and lack of skills and qualifications in the public health sector at the very top. If you look at private health sector, we have large and growing and very vibrant private health sector. It is 3 to 4 times that of the public sector, unregulated and variable quality, and largely funded by a very regressive mechanism of fee for service. So when you fall sick, you pay. In most developed countries, you pay when you are healthy and you get the benefit when you are sick. Now, how do we scale up to the small projects which we heard about, like Sevak and others? I think the first thing which is required is the government is already developing the commitment to expand the public health system. If you see the proclamations of the politicians, they say that we are going to spend about 2 to 3% of GDP on health. In the past 7-10 years, we have already built substantial national rural health mission under which every village has a woman health volunteer called ASHA. So I say that we need a brother or sister of a ASHA, which is like a Sevak. ASHA is focusing on maternal and child health. This person should focus on sanitation, disease control, epidemic alerts, health promotion. So evidence through research and documentation, partnering with local institution at state level, presentations and marketing at the right level, at the ministers, secretaries, and directors, use of private sector and business leaders to talk about health, because now governments are more listening to private sector than to academics, and convincing international agencies and donors. Sometimes it is frustrating to see that the same idea coming from the white man is more accepted than when it is coming from an Indian. Finally, what can Pan IITians do in this endeavor to bridge this gap between the rural, poor, and the left behind, and the technology which is available? IITs are well respected, well connected, technologically sound, and you have international experience. I think what is required is advocacy at the very top political level, at state and central level, and levels of resource allocation, which is the planning commissions, the finance ministries, because health ministries in some sense have no voice in today's politics. We need to help the states re-engineer the health programs through engineering, management, and technologies. One of the problems of India's health system, it is full of doctors who left their mathematics at the 10th or 12th standards, who were weak in mathematics went to doctoring, and who were good in mathematics went to engineering. So whole of the health departments have very little understanding of engineering, mathematics, or technology, which we need to help them build. Improving access to care, not doctor to each village, because many politicians want doctor to each village, which is a dream which is not fulfillable. But we can have access to care through information technology, telephone medicine, M-Health, which is a very new and popular research theme now. We are working on a small project of making Skype, working on Skype to make doctors available or consultation with doctors available in rural villages in Gujarat through primary health centers. Use of transport, logistics, and internet pharmacy to reduce the cost of pharmaceutical distribution, because most of the pharmaceutical costs are currently in the distribution chains, and training technology, using technology for simulation, virtual museums, etc., to build the training capacity in the medical institutions. Finally, I think generating value for each human life is, I think, very important social value which we need to generate as a society. In our society currently, poor don't count, children and mothers don't count, disabled are almost invisible. We have to change from that to a platform of equity where each life has the same value. I want to end by saying, how can technology and management make this happen? And I'm sure the Pan IITians can contribute to this based on their experience and learning and wisdom which they have acquired and applied in various fields so successfully. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mavankar. To introduce our next speaker, we have our guiding spirit for the Wheels program, our mentor and our own Hiten Ghosh. Hiten is with Hughes Networks in Maryland. He's a recipient of the NRI Award, and he has been the prime mover behind all of us. So Hiten, but before you get on, I just have one quick announcement. Munishi Sanyal has lost a small gray nylon bag. If anyone finds it, please call 98-310-89094. Again, a small gray nylon bag. Thank you. Hiten?
Okay, we have kept the best thing as the last item between you and your entertainment. To do that, we'll start again what an IIT alumni initiative can do. Number of years ago, two distinguished IIT alumni, Des Deshpande and Narayan Murthy, decided to do something about the hunger of the children. The children's education, of course, was the top of their mind, but the hungry belly does not help very much to learn. So out of that thought process came a program called Akshay Patra, which is now feeding 1 million lunch to children in number of states of India. We want to make it in all the states. Now, while to do that project, they chose another person, who is also an IIT alumni, and he's here with us. He's Madhu Pandit Dasar. He has a very interesting life career. He graduated in IIT Mumbai, seem to be all coming up from Mumbai. I wish to see my own IIT alumni from Kharagpur can do this thing, to meet their thing called in the service of the nation that they always pass through the portal. Anyway, Buddhist Pandit Das, after doing that, he decided to choose what the IIT Kharagpur mission is in the service of the nation. He first went into Hare Krishna mission, spirituality. And then he found out the spirituality does not really help. It is the saving the people and serving the people will be a lot better way to spirituality. So he chose the job from assigned and became the CEO of the Akshay Patra Foundation of India, which is basically is a combination of charity, passion, and corporate efficiency. You will see from him how the technology he designed himself, automated kitchen, distribution technology, which now feeds very effectively this 1 million children, and we want to increase it to 10 million, because this is what we are working together as a part of the lifestyle program of this project called WILL. So without ado, Madhusudan, this is all yours.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers of Pan IIT for giving me an opportunity to come over here and make a presentation of the little work that we are doing all over this country. This is a program, Akshay Patra. It's an initiative, social initiative to deal with two of the most debilitating problems of this country, education and hunger among the school children. Before that, let's look at the India story. The experts say that there will be a new world order by 2050, where the three economic equals will be US, India, and China. It's expected that the Indian economy will be bigger than Britain's and Japan's by 2020 and 2030. Despite all this, 1/3 of the Indian population lives in acute poverty. It's said that 1/3 of the world's poor live in this country. If you compare the literacy of China and India, 74% of the Indians are literate and 91% of the Chinese are literate. Of course, the standards of literacy the measurement of literacy in India is much more liberal. The real literacy will be much lesser than in China. Recently, there was a report made by the government department where they made a finding that 42% of the children are malnourished. And when the Prime Minister of this country read that, he said it was a national shame. There was recently Amartya Sen in Bangalore. He had a meeting, public meeting, and one of the press persons asked him that the GDP growth rate in India is slipping down to 7%. Isn't it a gloomy picture? Amartya Sen replied, India has the largest percentage of undernourished children, more than Africa. There should be more gloom about this. Akshay Patra has a vision statement, no child in India shall be deprived of education because of hunger. If we do not have an inclusive growth, then the richer will become richer and poor will become poorer as we grow in this country. Year after year, GDP growth, even if it is 7%, it's quite impressive. And when it is cumulative over 15, 20 years, it's really going to, make the gap bigger and bigger. And one of the most important things for this is to take take the families out of the cycle of poverty. So education is the single most powerful factor to take an entire family out of the cycle of poverty. We began, therefore this Akshay Patra program was to support the education by giving the children a midday meal. What would the children study in the school? Where will their minds be? Or how will their brain work if they didn't have food in the stomach? So therefore we thought this is the very important initiative. And in the year 2000, we started with a very just feeding 1,500 children in 5 schools. In fact, we were very ignorant of this problem in the society too. We just started feeding this many children, and within 2 months, we had a requirement of 1 lakh children applications and from different schools. That opened our eyes to realize that around the temple where we were there, where I'm from ISKCON, so ISKCON Bangalore temple, around Bangalore temple, so many children are going hungry every day to the school. And that really opened up and gave us an inspiration that we should really, do something to support the education of these children. Now, anything that we do in this country, we realize that it has to address the problem of scale, because it's such a large country. So the only way is innovation and technology, and that's the hallmark of Akshay Patra. We have, we started with simple kitchen, and then we learnt over the time, and there's a gravity flow mechanism where the 2-tier, 3-tier kitchens are there, where the raw materials are dropped from the top to save the drudgery of work because we're going to handle every day in 4 hours. We have to cook tons and tons of rice, tons and tons of sambar or whatever different menus are there, and it has to be made very work efficient. Otherwise, it'll become difficult. Now, this kitchen, you see, kitchen infrastructure to cook for 200